Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you for attending. Yes, I'll begin. My name is Nisanel Fishman. Many of you get my emails every week of all the exciting updates and
coming from the
programs that Suamot is running. And I've had the opportunity to interact with many of you through email, and it's good to have a face to all the emails that we've been doing. Over here with me is Rabbi Oriel Obetsky, who's in charge of the department. He'll be giving the presentation today. It should be about 30 minutes. Should be about 30 minutes or so. But we'll leave some time for questions as well. And I think there'll be others that are joining who may not have joined yet, but I think we can get started.
Okay, are we ready to go, Nathaniel?
Yeah, I think so. If anybody else is coming, I'll just let them in and they'll join throughout.
Very good. And it's recording?
We are recording.
Okay, great. If anybody has a question, please chime in at any time. I can't see everybody's face, so you'd have to really actually chime in and rather than just raise your hand, or you can raise your hand digitally. Okay, so this afternoon, we're here to talk about the Sulamot Mishnah package, what's involved in it. I'll also, besides just giving you the Mishnah package, we'll try to learn a little bit as well, or see some ways of teaching the Mishnah. And all this in a half hour, it's not a lot of time, but we'll try to do what we can. Okay, so what is in the Sulamot Mishnah package? So I have a slide here, which pretty much I'll go over just superficially, and then we'll go into detail on each one. So there's the introductory workbook that includes 3 different introductions. That's introduction to Sulamot La Mishnah, meaning what's Sulamot La Mishnah about, and how does it, and what kind of units are we looking forward to. The second introduction is introduction to Toshba. That's right here. And that is what it means, introduction to Torah Sheba'al Peh. It talks about the Tanaim. It speaks about what does a machloket mean, how does machloket come about. It explains some of the different Tanaim of the time. So it gives you an overview of Torah Sheba'al Peh. It does not give an overview of Torah Sheba'al Peh for Gemara, but it focuses on Mishnah, and we're not trying to overwhelm the 4th graders or 5th graders or whatever grade is learning Mishnah. So that's introduction to Toshba. And the third is introduction to Kamdat, which you may have heard of, but it stands for Koteret Omer, Mikra, Din, and Tam. And we'll see some examples of that as well. So that's the introductory workbook. In addition to that, there's the student workbook. The student workbook is the workbook that has the information in it. So if it's Megillah, it has the Mishnayos of Megillah. It's Brachos, it has the Mishnayos of Brachos, and it has all kinds of questions and activities in the student workbook. The student workbook has 3 different things in it. The lion's share of the book is the Ian section, which means it goes through and explains the Mishnah. It has activities about the Mishnah that the students can do. There is, at the back of the book, Bikiyut charts. I'll show you what they are. And there's 5 different appendices, which the teachers can use and the students can use to organize their thoughts, organize the material. You'll see what I'm talking about when we actually look inside. The teacher workbook is exactly the same as the student workbook, except it has all the answers. So you don't have to guess what we're thinking, but it has all the different answers there. There is a teacher guide. That's suggestions for teaching. It's not on all the Masechtot, but it's on some of them. And if if you ask us, then and we don't have a teacher guide, then we'll try to work on putting one together, give some suggestions for teaching. Because at the end of the day, the student workbook that we have and the teacher workbook are really all suggestions. You don't have to follow it. It's not Torah Misinai, but it's material that's for your use in order to make a plan for the types of students that you have. In addition to that, we have videos. The videos are not directly connected to the material that we're learning here, but if you've heard of Ratzim La Mishnah, it's actually going on right now in Israel and throughout the world, which you can Google it, Ratzim La Mishnah, where it's videos about Mishnah. Now, it happens to be that many of the videos that they have relate to the Mishnayot that we're studying, that we have in our workbooks. So we refer teachers to these videos, and you can ask us. We have a document that has a copy of all these or locations where the videos are stored, and you can access them and show the videos to your students. We have some assessments that we put together, some examples that we have, but again, we could also work on trying to put together more if there's necessity. And lastly, there's professional development that's new for this year, which really goes through and explains two different things. It explains one thing, it explains the CumDot system, which we'll talk about a little bit soon. And the second thing it talks about is meaning in Mishnah, how we can extract meaning from the Mishnah and how it can relate to a student's lives. So that's the whole Mishnah package. And now we're going to go through and look at each thing in more detail. So let's first look at the introductory workbook.
Can I have a question?
Yeah.
So the program is for how many years?
You could do it for 1 year, 2 years. You could do it for 3 years. It's up to you.
I see that you have at the beginning the introduction, and not every year we have to do the introduction, right? So only for the first year.
Right.
And then focusing about what masachtot you have, or what topic you have, like for year 1, year 2, year 3.
Yeah, so I have some suggestions in terms of level 1, level 2, level 3. We can talk about that privately if you want to know which workbook would be more of introductory and which would be a little bit more advanced. So certainly we have that.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, I want to focus on Masechet Sukkah.
Okay, so we have
and
a
do you
book
have
on Masechet Sukkah
for all the Mishnah, all the Prakim?
For about 25 of them, 25 Mishnayot. It's focused on Parak. I have to take a look. I don't have it by heart, but I don't want to get sidetracked right now. I could answer your question a little later.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so as I said, we have 3 different introductions, and I'll quickly look at them. The first introduction is showing how does the Sulamot system work, and what we have is learning Mishnah assistants, which are little and some big people or little people. We have Yaakov and Rivka over here, which are the little people, which are talking to themselves and talking to each other about comments that they have about the material that's being learned. You could always use them in skits. And here is the Abba. And again, he sometimes is answering some of the questions that the kids are asking. And the booklet is set up in this way so that it can maintain the student interest. Each Mishnah will have most of these headers, unit section headers. So the Mishnah Milim section includes Mishnah and vocabulary. So what is it going to focus on? The words of the Mishnah and the vocabulary in the Mishnah. Shelot Manchot are guiding questions. These questions are the main issues that are going to be discussed in this Mishnah. Torat Chaim is an important part of our package, and that's relevance and values. What values can you extract from the Mishnah for your life? You'll see an example of that soon. Yisodot Torah Sheba'al Peh, Mishnah fundamentals, basic knowledge about Mishnah, specifically Psukim and how the Mishnah relates to the Psukim. Mivnei Munachim is the structure of the Mishnah, and that focuses on Kamdat. Koteret, which is the title. Speaker, the Omer is the speaker, like Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi something else. Case is the Mikra, and the Din is the law, and the Tam is the reason. And students should be able to identify all those 5 components of the Mishnah. Musagim ad halachic concepts. So if there's a concept of truma or chametz or other concepts like that, that will be explained in this section. Havanah Parshanut section is normally the section that everybody focuses on, which is understanding what the Mishnah is saying. What we're trying to do is trying to get rid of all the obstacles to a person understanding the Mishnah by making sure they understand the structure of the Mishnah, make sure they understand the concepts that are in the Mishnah, make sure they understand the psukim that are in the Mishnah. And once you have all that information, you're about halfway there to understanding the Mishnah. Now Parshanut just sharpens their understanding. Then we have a sikum. Usually it's that's a summary, and usually it's in a chart form, especially for the visual learners. So that's one mavo. The second mavo is mavo to the study of Mishnah. And what you have here is different questions that relate to that. This is showing that the Torah Bechtav is not really understandable, or you can't use it only to rely on it to make your psak, but the Torah Sheba'al Peh is important, and that's what these questions are. Talks about the Mesorah, the chain of the Mesorah over here, and asks some questions about it. Talks about the Zugot, the Tanaim, the Mishnah. What does Mishnah mean? How the Mishnah was created. What we're looking at is the teacher version, so that's why you see this grayed out areas. In the student version, you wouldn't have this, you wouldn't have the answers. Again, machloket, what are all these words? Finding your way around, what is a Seder, Masachet, a Parak, a Mishnah, Resha, etc. Zman Nakat, what's in Zman Nakat. Mefarshei Mishnah, we only focus on these 4. We don't quote almost anybody else. And we don't quote them that often also because it's sometimes a little difficult for the students. And this is just a review. Okay. That brings us to, yes.
Can I ask? I just noticed Kalman Achlin. Thank you. I'm
sure,
happy able to join. In the middle of camp, I'm happy able to join. I noticed as you were, leafing through the pages, you asked the question: can you memorize this Mishnah and Beit Sah as part of your introduction?
Yes.
Wanted to know maybe Sulamot and maybe even Rabbi Rimon Shlita's. What are your feelings towards memorization of Mishnah? I know in Flatbush, Rabbi Eliach Zatzal. Neod had the question of choral reading of the Mishnah, and there's always this question of how much time do you put into memorization? Do you have any thoughts about that? And does your program in any way involve memorization of Mishnah? If it's
Okay.
for later, you could also tell me.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent question that is for later. But I will ask Rav Rimon what he thinks about this issue. I'm coming at it from a little bit different perspective. I'm coming at it just to learn 1 or 2 Mishnayos by heart in order to teach them or demonstrate to them the associative nature of the Mishnah and how the Mishnah is written in a way that helps them memorize it. Not
Very
that I'm
good.
saying we're having this program of we're going to learn 50 Mishnayos by heart, and things like
Right.
that. So it's being used in a different way. We can
Right,
talk
that's
about
what
it
it looked
more
like, right?
offline.
Okay, but there might be thoughts Rabbi Ramon may have, or if you've ever,
Yeah,
I'd be
yeah.
interested in knowing that.
Yeah, that's something that I wrote down, and you could email me as well, just a reminder that I can ask it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. While we like when people
Do you
ask
have,
questions like this, because we have
excuse
a
me?
WhatsApp group that we put the questions in the questions and answers in the WhatsApp group. So this is a good example of one. Okay, now we're up to Kamdat. As I mentioned before, sorry, make that smaller. Koteret stands for title of a Mishnah. Let me see, I have some examples. Okay, actually, we didn't write an example here, but Arba Avot Nizikin, that would be a Koteret for the Mishnah. Omer is the speaker listed in the Mishnah. That, as I said, that could be Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi whoever. The Mikra is the case presented in the Mishnah, and Me'ematai a lot of times usually presents a Mikra, a case. A din is usually the easiest to choose from, to figure out. Tahor, Tama, Mutar, Asur, Pater, Chayav, Kasher, Pasul, etc. And the Tam was not usually written in the Mishnah, but every so often it is. And here you can recognize the Tam by the word Shenamar, Mipnei, Shema, Talmud Lomar, etc. So Kamdat gets you to understand the Mishnah, understand the words, not the words of the Mishnah, but understand the categories, the different categories that there are in the Mishnah. And as I said before, by understanding the structure of the Mishnah, it goes a long way to understanding the Mishnah itself. We have some questions on here. This is a teacher's version, so again, you have the answers. So we give a example of Dad said, if you have leftover food that you didn't eat, Dad said is the Omer. If you have leftover food that you didn't eat, that's the Mikra, and that would be Im. Im tells you that that's going to be Mikra. Put it in the refrigerator, that's the din, so that it doesn't get spoiled, that's blue, and that's a Tam. And they have about 10 different examples to hopefully help them understand this. And it's an example from secular life. It's not from the Mishnah, but hopefully they can transfer it to the Mishnah itself. So that's the Kamdat explanation. There's also the section on building a Tarshim, a chart, a Kamdat chart. You want to get it to look like this at the end. And we explain how you do that. That could be sometimes it's for more advanced students, but sometimes the less advanced students can use this well because it's a visual, and some students are more want the visual more than they can see just the words. So this goes through step-by-step process and explains how to go about doing it. Here's the step-by-step, building a Kamdat flowchart step-by-step. Again, we don't have more time for this now, but we can, during our professional development session on Kamdat, that's discussed. Okay, so that was the introductory booklet. It's about, in total, see what it comes out to be, 48 pages. And depending on the type of students you have, you could finish it in several weeks, or it could take you a couple of months, depending on the time.
I have a question about this.
Yeah.
So this structure that you show us, it's a structure for one Mishnah. Like for every Mishnah, you have all of this structure.
So I'm going to show that right now in terms of the student workbook. That's why we're going to open up the student workbook. We'll take a look inside and we'll see how it looks. This is Brachot Perek Aleph. I'll skip the introductory material. So this is a Mavoda Perek Aleph. I'm going to skip this. but as you can see, it says mitzvah kriyat shema. It gives the background to what's going to be discussed. And here we have Zman kriyat shema shel Arvit. So as I said, here's the Mishnah Milim section. All these section headers, they're all in here. They're over here on the right.
Where the Mishnah? Can I see the Mishnah?
Yeah, right here.
I don't see the Mishnah.
On the right side.
ממתי קוראים? Okay.
So the Mishnah, many teachers asked us for the line-by-line explanation or area for a line-by-line explanation. So this is new that we added on from previous years. And I guess the Rebbe or the Mora will go through the understanding with the students.
Before they jump to the Mishnah, they are going to see something from the Torah Shebichtav, the Psukim.
Sometimes we will quote Psukim inside the material. In this case, we quoted it in the previous unit, but sometimes we quoted in the Yesodot Mishnah section, which I'll show you in a minute. We start out with Mishnah structure, and the students have to use highlighters to highlight different parts of the Mishnah.
How they're related? How they're related to the Psukim?
Well, that's discussed in the previous unit. I don't have time right now to go into more detail about it. But if you can write down the question or email me, I'm happy to answer. These are there's a matching question that explains that goes through the understanding the various words in the Mishnah. Shelot Manchot, as I said, focus on what is going to be focused on in this Mishnah. Torat Chaim. So take, for example, this Mishnah. This Mishnah talks about how, I think it's Rabbi Eliezer that says, this whole statement, and that's why he moves up the time for saying Kriya Shema, and we compare it to the student that wants to sign up for the basketball tournament, and he says, thanks for the reminder, but I'm going to do my homework first, then go to basketball practice, and then take care of it, and then before you know it, it's 12 o'clock, and he missed the deadline. The idea is to take the principle that you learn in the Mishnah and apply it to everyday life. So Do Torah Sheba'al Peh gives an explanation of the different Rabbanim, Tanaim, I'm sorry. This is the Kamdat question to identify the various parts of this. So Divrei Rabbi Eliezer, that would be a red, it would be Omer. Atsof HaShmora Rishona would be a din. Ne'ematai Korin Shema Ba'arvit would be a mikra, etc., etc. There's the Musagim section. There's a lot of Musagim in this Mishnah, the Truma, Sof HaShmora Rishona, Hekter Chalavim Ve'evarim. Some teachers may decide just to skip this part because it's really very dense. A lot of material over here, especially for starting to learn Mishnah. But the main part of the Mishnah, the early part of the Mishnah, the Reisha, can certainly be learned with students. This is the Musagim section. Now it's the Havana Parshanut. Now that we, as I said, we try to get rid of all the obstacles that were in the way to understanding. Now we're actually going to the Havana Parshanut, and we talk about Zman Kriyat Shema Balayla, and we explain what all these things mean. There's some questions, different types of questions. What would Rabbi answer to this question? These are regular questions. Sometimes there's matching questions. Here's the Tavlat Sikum, the summary of the Mishnah. Sometimes they fill in tam that's found in the Mishnah. Sometimes they fill in a mikra from their own understanding. Like, for example, this Mishnah leaves out a critical statement, Ad matai korin et shema be'erev. And therefore, sometimes that we ask for students to fill that in on their own. So that's the Sikum. And then it ends off with Torat Chaim section, which I explained before of Laharchik Adam Be'avera. It shows how after we learn the Mishnah, we can apply the principles of the Mishnah to everyday life. So that's the student workbook. A few other features in the student workbook is, we'll go to the end.
So this is for one Mishnah, right?
That was one Mishnah, yes, exactly.
Now, for how long, from your experience, it's taking to teach with all of this process, one Mishnah?
That's a good question. But the way I put it to teachers is that they should spend a week on a Mishnah. So that means if you have 25 weeks, you should try to do 25 Mishnayot. Most people don't listen to me and only cover 10 Mishnayot, but I think that you can cover 20 to 25 Mishnayot, which means that you have to do a Mishnah a week, which means that whether you spend 1 day of learning Mishnah, 2 days of learning Mishnah, 3 days of learning Mishnah, whatever time you give, you should finish the Mishnah that you started for that week. And that would mean that some of you would teach it for 4 days a week, some of you would teach it for 2 days a week, however it works in your schools. And then you have to decide that you have a booklet like this, you have to decide how much of the booklet you're going to teach. You have to decide, are you going to focus on the Kamdat for this Mishnah? Maybe for this Mishnah, you won't focus on Kamdat, but you'll focus just strictly on the content. Maybe in another Mishnah, you'll focus on the vocabulary. Maybe in another Mishnah, you'll focus on the values and the principles that you gain from it. So you have to decide on your own what you're going to focus on for your students. Now, in the back of there's two different things. There are these charts, the Kamdat charts, which you could use in various ways. You could use it as reviews, or you could use it as Bekius. Where we have the Mishnah over here, we have the explanation of some of the words in the Mishnah. We have the Kamdat chart. This chart is empty for the students, and they have to try to fill it in on their own. And that could be a fun activity for students. You can give them, the students, this Mishnah in English and have them do it in English. That may make it easier for them. Again, everything depends on your students. So for every Mishnah that we have in the booklet, we have this, what we call a Bekius page. The other thing that's in the end of the books, which it's important for teachers to know, are these appendices. This is a place where they can write down all the words that they learn and a short explanation, and they could use this as a dictionary that's developed throughout the year. The second appendix is various Nisim, the Chachmei Ador, the Tanaim of the time, and a little bit history as well. You also have the keyword chart. So
excuse me, what are all the QR codes for?
Oh, okay. I'll answer you right after I finish this. Koter Omer Mikra Din Tam. What are some words that tell you that this is going to be a tam, this is going to be a din, this is going to be a mikra? So they can build up their keyword terminology. Musagim section. This is similar to the Musagim are concepts, while what we did in Isbach Aleph, in Appendix Aleph, was focused just on regular words. And the last one is, what are some of the life lessons that you like best from the Mishnayot that you learned? This is to sort of give a summary of all the material, or some of the material that was studied, and they have to fill it in these clouds, what they learned. The question was, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
QR codes.
Oh, the QR codes. Remember the videos I mentioned, that there are videos involved? So those QR codes go to the videos, since you asked it, I'll open it up right now. This is an example from Ratzim LaMishnah Masechet Brachot. Okay. Wanted this one. So the Ratzim LaMishnah videos is a plot, but within the plot, they study Mishnah and they learn Mishnah. What I'm showing you now is an excerpt of the part where they actually learn, not where they're doing the plot. But you can use the plot if you want in your teaching. All the material has Tuviot, has, do you say it in English? Whatever, it has the English translated over here at the bottom. Okay, so let me show you a little bit of it so you just get a sense. Is everybody able to hear that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
אנחנו מתחילים בעזרת השם, מסכת ברכות, פרק א', משנה א'.
Can't hear.
להקשיב היטב, כדי שתצליחו לפתור את כתב החידה, ולמצוא את המשניות האבודות. מי יודע במה עוסקת המשנה?
ממתי קוראים את שמע בערבית? זה בטח עוסק בקריאת שמע.
נכון מאוד. בפרשת התורה שעוסקת בקריאת שמע, כתוב, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך. חכמים לימדו אותנו, כתוב, ודיברת בם, צריך לומר קריאת שמע, בדיבור. ובשוכבך ובקומך, צריך לומר קריאת שמע פעמיים ביום, ובשוכבך בלילה, ובקומך ביום.
והמשנה שלנו מדברת על קריאת שמע של הערב, ממתי קוראים את שמע בערבית.
נכון, המשנה מבררת מתי מתחיל הזמן שבו צריך לקיים מצוות קריאת שמע של ערבית ולצאת ידי חובה. מהי התשובה?
משעה שהכהנים נכנסים לאכול בתרומתן. חיים, לא נראה לי שהוא שומע אותך.
בשעה שהכהנים נכנסים לאכול את תרומתן. מה זה אומר?
לכהנים מותר לאכול תרומה רק כשהם טהורים. לדוגמה, מתתיהו הוא כהן. כדי להיות טהור הוא צריך ללכת למקווה, לטבול במקווה, אבל זה לא מספיק. שבין צאת הכוכבים לזריחה. מה הדעה השנייה?
וחכמים אומרים עד חצות.
נכון, לפי חכמים אפשר לקרוא קריאת שמע הלילה, כלומר עד אמצע הלילה. ומה הדעה השלישית?
So that's videos that you could look at. As I said, we have a document that lists all the videos. Is the example. This is the list, and you can go there and you can go see it. It's all for free. You can check it out anytime you want. Okay, let's get back to we're already a little bit over. So I'll try to move quickly. We did the introductory workbook. We did the student workbook. I showed you the teacher workbook that had answers in it. I showed you videos, the example of videos. Again, not every Masechet has videos. The teacher guide has suggestions for teaching. You'll believe me on that. Assessments, as I said, we have some assessments. Professional development sessions, I'll show you a little bit right now, so you get a sense of that.
Can I ask a question just about ComDot? Is any of this digital where we could have students working, on a computer, on a Chromebook? I see it's great, that they work in the textbook with highlighters. Can they do any of that, or can we pull any work? Do we also get a digital copy of this that we could post on Google Classroom or something like that?
So then the short answer is yes, but we'd have to work out some of the details.
Right. I mean, a license or something.
That I'd have to talk to you privately about.
Okay, thank you.
Professional development sessions. There we go. So here we'll watch a little bit of this. This is an actor and also a teacher. He was my daughter's teacher in Mishnah as well. And he's going to talk about how he's going to teach in the ComDot way. So I'll give you a little bit of a background in ComDot.
כן, אילן, אל תדאג, אני אקריא לך עליו.
כן, 3%, אני יודע, אני זוכר, כן. טוב, אילן, אני מסיים, אני מתחיל עוד רגע שיעור. שמי אחרי הפדיחה שהייתה לי בשיעור הקודם, אני נושא שיטה אחרת. זה שיטה, של לבוא. טוב, אני אסביר לך בבית, אני חושב שהן באות. טוב.
I'm running this at 1.25, so it's a little fast.
לא בנות, היום אנחנו נלמד את משנה ג' בפרק ב' במסכת סוכה, אבל נעשה את זה בצורה מיוחדת. היום אנחנו הולכים לפצח את המבנה של המשנה, ואז נוכל להבין אותה הרבה יותר טוב. בשביל זה יש לנו שיטה מיוחדת שנקראת שיטת הקונטקט. מישהי שמע על השיטה הזאת? רגע, לא כולם בבקשה. כן, בבקשה. מה? נכון, בדיוק, זה מהסרטונים שרצים במשנה. נכון, בפרט זה עם המעבדה של מנשה והרב לימון, אז אני רואה שאתם כבר מכירות, ברוך השם, יופי טוב מאוד. אז מי יכולה לומר לי מה זה קונטקט? קונטקט זה ראשי תיבות, כך כותרת, א' אומר, מ' מקרה, ד' דין, וט' זה טעם. קונטקט. בואו נתחיל, קודם כל נקרא את המשנה. העושה סוכתו בראש העגלה או בראש הספינה, שימו את האצבע בפנים בבקשה, כשרה ועולים לה ביום טוב, בראש העילה או גבי גמל, כשרה והם עולים לה ביום טוב. מצוין. עכשיו בנות, בשביל לפצח את המבנה של המשנה, דבר ראשון, אנחנו רוצים לזהות את מילות דין. מפני שהן בדרך כלל הכי קלות לזיהוי. אתם לזהות במשנה מילות דין? רגע, בנות, לאט, אני מבקש בהצבעה. כן, בת שבע. מצוין, יופי. מילה כשרה היא מילה דין. וכמה פעמים היא מופיעה? פעמיים. מצוין. בואו נסמן את זה. בבקשה. עכשיו...
By the way, one of the things that I emphasize in this video is he's not going forward and explaining the Mishnah yet. What he's doing first is trying to find the keywords so he can build the structure of the Mishnah without even learning the Mishnah yet. So it's an important difference.
שימו לב, יש משהו משותף לכל הסוכות. מה זה הדבר שמשותף? נכון, שכולן כשרות? נהדר. עכשיו שימו לב, אם כל הסוכות במשנה כשרות, אז מה ההבדל ביניהם? אני אתן לכם רמז. תסתכלו היטב במילים שאחרי המילה כשרה. המילים האלו הם חלק מהדין. וואו, נהדר, יפה מאוד, עולים לה ביום טוב, והם עולים לה ביום טוב. אלו הן גם כן מילות דין. מעולה. עכשיו שימו לב לטקסט של המשנה. אנחנו כבר יכולים לזהות שיש לנו במשנה שני סוגים של סוכות. סוג הראשון, סוכות שקשרות. שימו לב, תסתכלו על הדינים שאנחנו סימנו. מצוין, שעולים להם ביום טוב, מעולה. מה? מותר להשתמש בהם ביום טוב? או אסור להשתמש ביום טוב? מותר, יפה מאוד. והסוג השני, סוכות כשרות בצלת, אסור לעלות עליהם ביום טוב, זה נפלא.
This is an example. What were the teacher's steps in teaching the class? Match the part of the process to the number. So you can use, this is called Class C. It's a digital platform, educational platform that was developed by our organization. And it has some questions. It happens to be a matching question. This is a multiple choice question, which works on making sure that you understand the system. This is the professional development that's asynchronous. So you would tell Rav Natanel if you wanted to buy it, and then he would give you a username and password, and then you would work on this at your leisure to get a better understanding of Kamdat. Okay, I think we went through it. We're already a few minutes over, and I think I covered everything on that list. Now it's time for questions, if you have any questions.
I wanted to know, I saw like in the video, he's using like the Mishnah on the smart board. Do you guys have some sort of digital version of the Mishnayot that matches with the way you have the book set up for use for teachers?
I understand the question. I don't think so, but I think it can be easily moved around using a Word document. Any other questions?
Yeah, just and with I think that was Ms. Ginsburg who asked that. Are you asking in terms of students doing the work or teachers presenting the work? Because I was interested before, and I'd asked Rabbi Lubetsky in terms of students doing the work. Are you also asking in terms of teachers presenting the work?
Yeah, in terms of presenting.
Yeah, that's interesting also. I mean, everything seems, Rabbi Lubetsky, you have everything in the book, but I guess the question is, and sometimes maybe teachers may find it, can we get part of what we have in the book on on a smart board? Or I guess like you say, if we just kind of, if we know what the structure is, we can perhaps create our own slides. That might be a possibility.
Well, first of all, I in the ComDoc professional development session, I show you how to build it, so that you can certainly build it on your own with a Word document. It's fairly straightforward and easy. In terms of actually having material, everything that you see that's in the book is in a Word document originally. So if you want some specific things, especially if you just want the Mishnah, we can easily give that to you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you have any material that you would say is sort of like a bridge. Like I have students who are starting the year off with Mishnah and hopefully finishing the year off with Gemara. And I'm wondering if there's like either a specific Masechet or like some other part of the curriculum that you think would be appropriate for that.
What grades are you talking about?
6th and 7th, like 6th into 7th.
So they don't learn Mishnah in 5th, but they start Mishnah in 6th.
They do Mishnah in 5th also.
They do Mishnah in 5th. So, I mean, I look at it as a 2-year program then, that the 5th grade should have the introductory booklet, and then they can choose, I could tell you the more specific ones that are appropriate. I have it written down somewhere. But Megillah, I think, is more appropriate. The Sukkah one is more appropriate for an introductory, and for the second year, I would choose something like Bava Metzia. Depending on what Gemara you're doing, sometimes people like to synchronize the Gemara and the Mishnah. So you can choose Bava Kama, you can choose Bava Metzia.
We've been doing Bava Kama in Gemara for 7th grade. So maybe one was for 6th grade.
Okay, so that, yeah, you could
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes. Do you have a list of Mishnayot for Sukkah?
Yeah.
Can I have it?
Yeah, we can get that to you. If you just email Rab Netanel, he's the one that's been in touch with you about signing up. Just email him, he'll take care of it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? It was a very quick session because I wanted to make sure to get you the major points. If you have further questions, please be in touch with me. Please be in touch with, 1 second, sorry. Please be in touch with Rab Netanel. Be happy to answer your questions. And there's a lot more stuff that we could have presented, but I realize your time is valuable as my time is as well. So I just did the car. And if you have more questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rabbi Lubetsky.
Good to see you, Rabbi Nachman.
Yeah, thank you. I tell you, I do 5th grade Mishnah, besides from 6th grade. 5th grade's an introduction. I wonder if this might be something that Flatbush would, be interested in doing. It took a lot to process it. I never did your Mishnah, and this might be something that I could put in, to the administration.
One of the big things there that's going to be problematic is Ivrit B'Ivrit story.
Right. And this is all in English, yeah, especially the younger grades.
Yeah.
The younger grades are very, they're much more than the middle school.
Right.
Okay, thank you for bringing it up, because the truth is I wouldn't have necessarily loyalty some level of that.
You can make the argument that all your tests and your worksheets will all be in Hebrew.
Right.
But you're still relying on English.
Right. Also, the fact is, it's a specialty, unless maybe they would allow it for that. Let me think it through. I'd have to speak to Mrs. Gratzman about that. That's also why I asked you if it's, a possibility. I don't know, Flatbush has done it with you. If it's possible, quotes, if there's a license out there and it's possible to use digital and